So under classwork, there's at the very top, Tech Tuesday, and then Flipgrids at the top of that. It has several different resources. One of them is a Google Drive, and it has quite a few resources for both Seesaw and for Flipgrid. I have most of it is actually Seesaw, and it's got these getting started guides. So like this is the 5th grade one for Seesaw, and it just sort of gives you some guidelines on how to start this up. And so I have it for every grade in here. So 1st through 5th have their own, and then 6th through 12 have theirs. And there's also pre-K in here. You're good. With Seesaw, you can also connect it to Google Classroom. So there's a graphic on how to do that. And this one is 100 ways to Seesaw. So different ideas on what you can do with your with Seesaw. Seesaw is, if you don't know, is a digital portfolio maker. A lot of times with the fact that there are more and more kids going to college, it's sort of become the next thing that colleges are starting to ask their students for are those digital portfolios that they've created to sort of show their work throughout high school or throughout their schooling. It's just a way to separate themselves from everyone else. It's also like for me in my graduate program, rather than have to write a thesis, I have to submit a digital portfolio of all my work from my 2 years in grad school, showing how all I've learned and that kind of stuff. So this is just a way that you can show your students' work, and it all stays in one place. The really cool thing with this is that there is a parent app. So if our parents have smartphones, they can download that, and then as their students' work is submitted to that, they can then open it up and see their students' work. And so it's also able to show off your students' work even though the parents are in that room seeing it, on our walls. So these are just lots of different ways to use it. They have Genius Hour resources. They have give students with special needs voices and tools to capture strength, support ELL families and students, auto record in any language. There's lots of different things you can do with this resource. So, get logged in. Go in. So you can sign in with your Google account. And this is an app that we can download on the iPads if this is something you want in your class. So this is what it looks like. I'm just in the trial. I created my class, just called it trial. When you're trying it out, they do give you a sample student so you can test it out on sort of the student perspective. So you can see I created this, and so it's just a video of, it's got a symbol I found online, and then create a text bubble, and just had some fun with it. There are also activities. So the journal is sort of the main part of this, which is just adding on to a big stream of different things all the way down. But you can also participate in specific activities. And here, you can assign an activity, and you can either create your own activity or you can browse the community library, and they have tons of different projects based on what you're trying to learn, so you can just share off of what they're doing. So if I'm doing creative thinking and I want it 5th grade, I can then look, and here is explain my thinking. So it gives them the directions, it'll give them resources, it has a little clip telling them what those instructions are. You just assign that to the students receive that on their app, and then they can start doing that. It'll come to you, and then you approve it before it is actually posted onto their board. So it's not like it's going to show up on theirs if they messed up. You can always resend it back to them, or they can reopen it and start working on it again. It's not like it's just set there once it's been assigned or submitted. And so it's just a really simple tool to use to really start to showcase our students' work digitally. Get in here. So for creating an activity, you give it a name, you give it instructions. You can add voice instructions. So if you want to record your voice, telling them exactly what you want them to do so that they can really listen to that. You can include worksheets or multimedia, videos, that kind of stuff in here as well. If you have examples of student work that you want to showcase to sort of make it as a guideline, you can do that as well. And then you can also add a template for the students to use. So like if you're trying to show them how to do a thought bubble or how to use a graphic organizer, you can input a template for that, and then you're all working on that same exact template, just different information. Once you've created that, it'll look, maybe, here we go. I just have this one, just Genius Hour Research. You will post what you found for research, and you can do multiple steps. So if you're doing like a paper, you can have them submit the first paragraph or their thought process for picking a topic, and then you can submit the next one is them writing the first paragraph. It's really up to what you want the students to do. It doesn't have to be the entire project. You can really break it down because they have these multi-step projects. They have digital citizenship in here. They have a lot of different things you can do. Once the students get started, there it is. They can, nope, I don't want to post it. So then once they're actually wanting to get started, they can post pictures, drawings, videos, notes. They can add links. They can upload things from the drive. If they're just doing a note, then they'll have line paper and they can type out what they're wanting to do. If they want to post a video, they can record themselves speaking about whatever they're doing. They can draw it out. So like if you're working with math, you can have them solve a problem, a math problem, while they're explaining how the different steps that they did, so you can hear and track what they're doing, and if they're understanding that math assignment, you can do that kind of stuff. You can have the students, all right, I want you to go online, I want you to post, find a link to a specific topic, and then explain why you chose that, chose that paper, or chose that topic along with that, why that link will match with that topic. So lots of really cool ways to really start posting our students' work and make sure that we can actually see and track what they're working on. This, as I said, it's connected to Google Classroom, so when you submit something, it then goes to the Google Classroom. They click on it, and it will open up. If they're on the iPads, it will just open up their Seesaw app, and then they can start working on it. Anyone have questions on this?
The Seesaw app is not on the student iPad?
Not yet.
Okay. And I know a couple of us on my team have requested that first week of school, again, this last week or so.
The iPads have been a joy this year, unfortunately, and they will not push out apps unless they're in perfect condition, like the perfect conditions. And we've had some problems with our Wi-Fi, and if they're not connected to the right Wi-Fi, then they don't do anything. If it's still not going out, email me and I'll email IT with the ones that we need to be pushed out, and I can do that with those. So that's Seesaw, and as I said, that this right here has tons of different resources for you to use with that. The other one I'm going to talk about is Flipgrid. And Flipgrid is a video discussion board. I used it. It was, instead of using a discussion, just a regular written discussion board in one of my college classes last year, we had a Flipgrid, and so every week we would respond to a specific question, and then we would respond to 2 or 3 of our classmates, all within video. And it's just a really fun way because our students love being on camera. They always want to be recorded and that kind of stuff. And so you get their actual words rather than just trying to type out what they're expected to have in there. And you can really showcase and see how they're, what their thought process is with this. So I'll go in here. So the first thing, and this is also connected to Google Classroom. So Yeah, so you can connect your class with this, and then it shows up as a link on Google Classroom for them to do this. It's also, for those videos, they can take up to 5 minutes long videos, but you can set it at 30 seconds, a minute, all the way up. With this, it's really important that you're picking questions that really promote discussion. That's always sort of the problem when you're looking at those discussion boards in college, is they're really dry, and then you just, when you're responding, you're like, yes, I agree. We want the kids to actually be thinking about those questions and actually answer with to further along those discussion questions. So if you are, want to do something where you're able to really view and look at what the students are talking about and need some ideas, the Disco Library has tons of different suggestions. They have specific topics. These are playlists by, different companies. They have their weekly hits, so their top whatever topics that you can do. And then you can also come down here and you can select the audience. So if you have elementary and you're talking about math, it's going to narrow it down. And now you have, let's look at this one. Here's rounding decimals. And so you can they create them for you. And so then you can just post that. And then your students can interact with that based on whatever question you're asking them. Let's see. They have all kinds of different topics. So computer science, history, language arts, STEM, all kinds of stuff in here. They have about the author. So if you're wanting them to talk about, whatever author they're talking with, or you can have them watch a video and then respond to that video. So you can put in a YouTube video, you want them to watch that YouTube video, and then you want them to then talk about what they're learning from that video. That's all in here. They also have Grid Pals are other people in the country that are also using Flipgrid. Let's see on here. So there's quite a few. So I'll come back over here to us. So then from here you can actually contact other people, and you guys can have discussion boards from classroom to classroom. So you can discuss with those with other students and that kind of stuff. If you're talking about a topic that's maybe from somewhere else in the country or anything like that, you can then maybe talk and say, hey, they're teaching the same thing we are. Maybe we should have a discussion board together, and our students can learn, a different perspective. So that's there. Mixtapes are really cool. This is something that if you're using it throughout the quarter or semester or the year, you can then take all of your students' recordings and you can create a mixtape, which just shows their progress as they've recorded and submitted this work to them. And then you can sort of show how well they progressed. This is really important for our ELs. When they're learning learning English, you can see, all right, so they came in and they can barely speak a 30-second, topic, and now they're up to a minute and a half. And you can see how well they progress on understanding whatever you're talking about or you're teaching at that time. And then this is where my grids, so you have different grids. Those can be based on class, based on topic, whatever you're currently working on. So with this, maybe, there are tons of resources in here as well. They have tried to make it as bilingual as they possibly can. So they have their Flipgrid introduction in Spanish and English. They have these presentation slides that sort of show how to make it yourself. So you can create a grid, grab topics. One of the cool things, if we have some kids that are really shy, it's got different things that they can put in front of their face, or they can, instead showcase whatever they're working on instead of their face. So, you have this kid here who blurred out his face and then put different images and that kind of stuff around it. So we're trying to make them as comfortable as possible. And then here's what I want to show. So here's how to view Flipgrid. So here's all the different things that they, suggest that you can do with this K through 8, high school, university, staff, community. It's just a really good way to collaborate and talk. And you have the student's voice rather than, well, where did they get that information from? Are they just writing it verbatim from what I said, or are they actually thinking about the answer and responding on their own? So they have that. In here as well, where is that? There it is. There is a document with tons and tons of links in here. So they have a blog where they talk about different ideas and suggestions that you can do. So here's an integration blog. So here's different topics or different ideas that you can do for ELA, specialty, science, math, social studies, all based on whatever grade you're teaching. So if I go in here, here's reading and writing. And then here's the different topics you can use or you can talk about within that, that class. And then they have recommendations or writing a personal narrative for kids and opinion. When you're talking about opinion essays, you can do that kind of stuff. So a lot of different suggestions to help you really get started with using this resource. And then all of the Flipgrid has done a fantastic job at really making sure that it's following along with the ed tech standards. Our ed tech standards were created by ISTE, a little bit more in depth for the state. But they do show how these standards really do meet those ISTE standards. So we're really teaching those ed tech standards, making sure that they're ready for whatever job or if they continue on to college. We're making sure that we're reaching those specific standards. So they have those.
It's really good. I tried it out when she told me about it, and I tried it out with my high school kids, and the first one I did was just an intro, and they all giggled, and they all got over it. I think one of them had him in the background making faces, but they just do want to get over. But like their exit ticket today, because we're talking about resiliency, is I said, what aspects of your experience or identity made you stronger and more resilient? As you watch your classmates' responses, reply if you connect with their answer or experiences they shared. So then they're actually going to reply back, and at the end of it, and then in Google Classroom I said, when I grade it, it's your response plus two responses to your peers. So then I can go through and I can actually put the rubric in it. So it's really cool. And what I asked my kids is I said, think about your experience. They're seniors, they're on their way out, right? How would you have used this? And a lot of my kids, and several of them are on IEPs, who said, man, if I had the option of recording or typing for something in Google Classroom, either comment here in this discussion post or go post your Flipgrid, they're like, because they have a lot to say, but they struggle a lot of times with the writing piece. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden, like one of them came to me, she goes like, I actually felt like I was heard. Mm-hmm. And that was really powerful to hear her say, like, first time I'm on my way out this year, but I felt like I was heard. Because I can talk about this topic. I just
really sad, kind of.
Yeah. And so that's what I told them. I'll start putting it as an option. Either one, you're old enough to choose. I wouldn't do that at the beginning, but I thought that was really powerful perspective from them.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's such a fun tool. Kids like to talk, but sometimes they're a little shy to talk in front of class. Yeah. And so this could be an option too for those selective mutes that will not say a word. Give them the option of, during our free time, you can come over here in the corner and you can record your thoughts on whatever we were talking about. Then you can see that the student's actually getting the information, but you're not putting them on the spot. And you have the recording so that you can go back and you can be, okay, yes, this is, okay. And then you can have that conversation with them on maybe where they're missing the point or, where they're getting it, and then continue on that discussion without those super shy kids like me when I was little that would not say a word. I would have loved having something like this where I had the option of saying it later, because I did not want to talk in class. Like, no way would I want to talk in class. But I probably would have been able to do this. Yeah.
Well, how does it work then with the response? I mean, so I understand that you can do your initial to the question, you're at home and everything, but if you're interacting, are they also doing that at home? And then
yes.
You guys are going over it as a class?
Yeah.
that what-
They
okay.
can. Yep. So within, let's see, is it this one?
Yeah,
within-
so it's like at home, but then you could review it at.
Yeah. So within this one, if I were to go, so this is just introductions. All of the introductions will be shown down here. And it'll just be like, they usually take a picture of themselves with their face, and then you can click on it and you can listen to it, and then you just have a little plus, which is the sort of the symbol for Flipgrid, that you can then add to that, and then their face, like a little circle down, showing that someone has discussed or responded to your question.
So I pulled up one of my introductions, and I can give her video feedback by hitting this plus, and only she can do that. Okay. That's only to her. But if I hit this chat, then my video feedback creates like a chain, like a Facebook post where you go back and forth and you see all of the comments underneath. It creates, and other people can reply to my video or to her video, and it all follows it. And we can do that. That's where Han is hiding in the background making faces. But yeah. And that was that activity. That's the exact one.
Yeah, the intro. This is usually they create your first one of just an introduction. And it's just, it's fun to let the kids have free rein the first time. Mm-hmm. Really just let them play around with the tool, and they can record themselves over and over again. So they don't have to submit the first time and hope that it works. They can reset it, redo the recording, and then once they think it's perfect, then they can submit it. So it's not like there's the expectation that they're just going to be perfect at recording themselves the first time. So giving them some time to just play around and try it out themselves. Because the first time I did it in my college class, I was like, oh my God, I'm horrible at this. It took me 4 times to do it. I was like, this just doesn't sound right. But everyone else is doing the same exact thing. It's, it's getting them prepared so they can talk and they can figure out what they're saying, but not with the expectation that they're going to be able to just do it instantly. They can retry.
And then if you think about OPA practice, man, if you can do it with a video in front of you, speaking with a microphone on a test, it's going to be a piece of cake because there's no camera pressure on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's just getting kids language practice.
Familiar with.
I actually had one of my students I wrote a frame for her and she put it underneath right here. So at the beginning, she was actually looking at the frame and reading, but the camera just sees her, right? But with time, I told her I want you to be able to take that away. And so.
Is this an app as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, this is an app as well that can be downloaded on the iPads. If it's on the Chromebooks, then it's just a link, a website that you can use. Yeah. The purpose of these Tech Tuesdays is to really get an idea on what specifically the need is when it comes to technology. And then if it's something that, like Seesaw, there's a free version, which is what I have here. But there's also a paid-for version that has a little bit more expanse of different things you can do in it. And if there's a lot of interest in that maybe that might need to be a discussion on, maybe we purchase that. And it's sort of figuring out what that discussion is so we have a better idea rather than just selecting an app and hoping that it works. We really want to see what the interest is with the free version and then continuing on with the paid version.
And Flipgrid's free?
Flipgrid's completely free.
So we just need to ask Tech to
push it out. Yep.
If you have a Chromebook, you're set.
Yeah.
I just embed it in, he does. I embed it into Google Classroom and then they just click. But if you put it into Google Classroom and you have the app, it'll just click it on.
It'll just push over to the app. Yeah.
On the iPads, can we just use the link to do it
You should be able to,
instead
yes.
of doing the app?
Yes.
For Seesaw as well?
I think so. I don't see why not.
I don't know, I feel like I tried and it didn't work and I wanted to make it back. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me know if something's not working and I can sort of take a look and see. I do have the Seesaw, the parent app, and the student app on my iPad, so I'm trying to get a look and an idea on what it would look like. Since I have a teacher login, it's sort of hard to sort of see the student perspective of that, which is always a little difficult. And same with Flipgrid. Flipgrid's a little bit easier to see because it's all on the same page, but it's got some really fun resources, and hopefully both of these resources are something that can be used in your class in some way, or at least, for one assignment, try it out, see if you like it, and then if you like it, continue with it, and if not, try something else.